All right, so we are doing section 2.6 function notation, okay? There's a big old gap there between that and the information I had pre-written right there because I just want to remind you guys of what function notation is. All right, so I don't know if it's Math 1 or Math 7, Math 8, somewhere around there, you guys learned that we can write the letter y as a function like this. We would call it f of x, okay? So sometimes we say f of x. Sometimes we say f is a function of x. So the top one is just a shortened way of saying the bottom one. Okay, what that basically means is that y is a function. Okay, so if I write y equals to 2x plus 1, that's a function, so I can kind of change it to something else. So for example, like I said, let's say I put y equals to 1/2 x minus 3. I can write it like this. F of x is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 3. All right, so y and f of x are interchangeable. It's just another way to write the letter y for an equation. Okay, so instead of using y equals 2, they're going to want us to change it to f of x. Okay, but you still keep the rest of it the same way. Okay, now why do they make us do that? Well, because they're saying, all right, every once in a while we might say like, what is f of 2? What is f of negative 3? So f of 2 and f of negative 3 would look kind of like this. If I write f of 2 using that function that I wrote up there, that just means, you notice how the x, instead of f of x, it became f of 2? That just means that x is going to be a 2 now. So I'm just going to write my equation 1/2 times 2 minus 3. So it's basically telling me plug in a 2. Just plug in a 2 into the equation. So this becomes a negative 1 minus 3, which is a negative 4. And that's what f of 2 is equal to. F of 2 is equal to negative 4. In other words, you're just saying I plugged in a 2 and I got the answer of negative 4. Okay? So that's why we use function notation, because function notation allows us to plug in values and kind of leave it streamlined, in a nice streamlined format. Okay? So the f of, no, I just kind of said if they wanted us to do f of 2 for this equation right here, if they wanted us to do f of 2, then it would look like that. So that's what basically today's lesson is, going over that right there. So here's not really an example, but it is a little example. It says, given y equals to 2x plus 1, find the solution if x equals 3. Now normally all you would have done is gotten the 3 and plugged it in where the x is, right? So I'm going to show you that. But normally you're just going to plug in the 3 and work it out. Okay, so I'm going to show you both ways. So one way that you would do it would look like this. 2 times 3 plus 1. Right? So that's 6 plus 1. So that's equal to 7. Right? So, I mean, this is normal. This is what we've been doing for so many years, right? If they tell me here's an equation, plug in x equal to the following, you would just plug it in and we were happy. Well, they're going to start using function notation. So instead of y equal to 2x plus 1, you might see the following. F of x is equal to 2x plus 1. They might write it like that. And if they say figure out the solution if x equals 3, then you're supposed to write f of 3, right? If x is equal to 3, replace every x with 3. So that would be 2 times 3 plus 1, which is equal to 7 as well. Okay? So f of 3, by the way, you don't try to solve it. Don't divide both sides by 3. Okay? Sometimes people try to divide the 3 out because they're like, well, 3 is next to f, 3 times f. That does not mean 3 times f. That means a function with 3 plugged in. That's what f of 3 means. A function with 3 plugged in. So don't solve for f of 3. F of 3, leave it alone. You're just solving the right side of it. Okay? But notice, same answers, doesn't matter. Okay? So basically, the only thing we're getting so far is that y and f of x are the same thing. We're just going to kind of change the way we write it. And why are we going to do that? Well, because as the math starts to get a little more complicated, we get away from saying y equals this. They start saying f of x, h of x, g of x, l of x, m of x, okay? They'll use function notation, okay? Equations get names. So like f of x, they'll call it the f function. P of x will be the p function, right? T of x, that's the t function. So we give it names, right? So let me give you this problem right here. Evaluate the functions. By the way, this doesn't take a long time to do these, okay? It doesn't take a long time to do these at all. So we have g of n, okay? That means g is a function of n. That means that the equation is the g equation, and in that equation there's n's in it, all right? So the function is called g, and inside of g there's n's as letters. So notice 3n minus 4. So yeah, there's an n in there, 3n minus 4. So they want me to find g of negative 3. That means that instead of n, they want me to plug in a negative 3. So I'm just going to plug it in on the right side of that equation. It's going to be 3 times negative 3 minus 4. Well, that's negative 9 minus 4, which is negative 13. And that's it. There's nothing more to do. Okay, it's very straightforward. They're not trying to be tricky. But the only kind of weird thing is just the renaming of the function, right? So instead of y equal to 3n minus 4, we're saying g of n is equal to 3n minus 4. So look at this one. F of n is equal to negative 3 times the absolute value of n minus 1 minus 1. And they want f of 3. So for this one, they're saying, look, here's a function, f. And it's consistent of n values. So if you look at the equation, you see n minus 1 right there, right? So they're saying, here's a function with n's in it. That's what f of n means. Okay? So here's a function, it has n's in it. Find f of 3. In other words, replace n with 3. All right? So f of 3 is equal to negative 3 times the absolute value of 3 minus 1 minus 1. So wherever I see the letter n, I just replaced it with the number 3. So this is going to be negative 3. This is the absolute value of 2 minus 1. The absolute value of 2 is 2, right? Remember, definition of the absolute value is how far away is it from 0. So 2 is 2 units away from 0. Or if you want to do it the way sometimes they teach it in middle school, anything in the absolute value magically always becomes positive, right? So absolute value of 2 is just a positive 2. And negative 3 times 2, that's going to be negative 6 minus 1, so that's negative 7. So yes, these problems test your ability to plug in numbers, but what it's really testing is your computation skills. That's what it's testing. Okay, are you good at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing? Okay, that's basically what it's doing right now. Plugging in should not be the hard part. The computation is going to be where the mistakes happen if they do. So just be careful. Of course, you can use calculators and stuff like that to help you out. I think this is these are the last two, and then we're going to go to some graphing ones, which they're not supposed to be tough, but I think the graphing ones are going to be the harder ones. If any of these give you problems, it's probably going to be the graphing ones, but maybe it won't. Hopefully it's easy for you. So we got two more. So I have f of x is equal to 2.8x plus 3.8. Find f of negative 8.1. And you might want to use, you don't have to, but I'm going to bring it out, a calculator here, just so we can do this a little quicker. But I'm going to plug in negative 8.1 where the x's are. Okay? So f of negative 8.1 is equal to 2.8 times negative 8.1 plus 3.8. Again, that's not supposed to be hard, okay? They're not assuming this is supposed to like wipe half of you guys out in the test, right? Like you're supposed to plug it in. The hard part is, okay, do you remember what you do first? Multiply or add, right? So order of operations says I got to multiply. So 2.8 times negative 8.1, that's negative 22.68. And I got to add 3.8. So let me add 3.8 to that, and I get negative 18.88. I mean, would you guys say this stuff is hard to do? I mean, you just gotta kind of be careful, right? Just be careful. All right, plug in the number and just be careful when you do the calculations. Now, number 4 might be a little weird, okay? So I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a little weird. But I do want to kind of highlight it for you guys. Right here they have g of x is equal to 4x plus 3. Now, up till now, whatever they told me to do, f of 2, g of negative 3, f of negative 1, all I did was I got whatever they wanted me to plug in, and I plugged it in, right? That's all I did. I just plugged it in. All right? What do they want me to plug in this time? X plus 4. Now, I know that looks kind of weird, but what they're basically saying is you're going to get x plus 4, and you're going to plug it in right where that x is. Okay, so it's going to look like this. 4 times x plus 4 plus 3. Notice, instead of just an x, we normally replace it with a number, right? Like a 2, a negative 5, right? But here they're saying, well, replace the x with an expression. Here's your expression, x plus 4. Okay, so I just replaced it. And now I'm just going to distribute and simplify. All right, so I'm just going to distribute 4 times x, that's 4x. 4 times 4, that's 16 plus 3. So that's 4x plus 19. And that's it. I'm not solving for anything. I'm not trying to find the value of x, nothing like that. I'm just plugging in the expression. Okay, so if they would have said find g of smiley face, right? If they would have said, what is g of a smiley face? Then you should write 4 times smiley face plus 3. Okay, if they said what's g of a star? Well, then you should write 4 times star plus 3. Okay? Whatever they write in that second portion, whatever they're telling you to figure out, all you're doing is plugging it in. Okay? If it's an expression, then put the expression there. If it's a picture, which it won't be, but if it's a picture, put a picture there. Okay? It doesn't matter. I'm not breaking any mathematical rules here. All I'm doing is doing exactly what they want me to do. They want me to plug in a smiley face, I'll plug in a smiley face. If they want me to plug in a number, I'll plug in a number. If they want me to plug in an expression like x plus 4, I'll plug in an expression. Okay, it doesn't matter. All right, are we okay with these? Any questions on the first 4? Because we're going to go to the graphing part. But I'm hoping this stuff seems easy. I hope. Okay. I'm hoping it's easier than yesterday's. And yesterday's, I don't think was too bad. But, all right. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to go ahead and copy down the picture. Bless you. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see all the questions. I'm going to pause it. All right. So for this last part here, all 4 of these are going to pertain to that one graph. Okay. It says answer the following questions. Okay. What is f of 3? What is f of 0? What is x if f of x equals negative 1? And then we have what is x if f of x equals to 5? Okay, now I do want to give you guys just one real quick hint to this. Remember I told you that y was equal to f of x, right? Or I can write it like this, f of x equals to y, right? That was the very first thing I told you. This is the way they told you, like y and f of x, they're related this way, all right? So when they ask me number 5, when they say, what is f of 3? Well, if f of x equals to y, that means I'm looking for the y value when x is 3. Look at the graph. Look at all the points. There's a point there that has an x as a 3. What's the y value on it? 2. So that's your answer. Why? Because f of 3 is equal to 2. Okay, that's a point right there. 3 comma 2. 3 comma 2. That's where I'm getting it from. All right. What is f of 0? -4. Because if x is 0, right, where the x is supposed to be, f of x, it's a 0. They're saying, okay, when x is 0, what's y? Well, it's -4. Okay, so f of 0 is -4. So that's because of this point right there. Now this next one is the tricky one, but it's not that tricky. But they're saying, what is x if f of x is -1? Notice they gave me the answer to y. Y is -1. Which point has a -1 for y? The -3, -1, right? So this answer would be -3. Okay? Because of the point -3, -1. I'm going to highlight those just so you guys know. So here's the highlighted 3, here's the 0, here's the -1 they're asking about. So what's the answer to number 8? -2, because -2, 5, right? 5 is my y value. So this is going to be -2, because I have this point, -2, 5. Okay? And that's it.